Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Antonio from Still Point Ayurveda in Philadelphia. And sorry for the morning delay. There was some computer technical difficulties, and here I am. So, have a little bit of time just to share with you some tidbits for how to transition into the fall season more appropriately with minimal issues with health. So, this is the time of year when we're transitioning to this Vata period, Vata season, fall, early winter, autumn, just by different names. And, the qualities are generally going to be cold and dry and light. And so as we're slowly being encouraged to come inward with our health and physical well-being and mental well-being, and once we start putting the heat on in the house and putting a layer on, these are important things to consider, that as the transition is happening, that we're mindful of what the weather looks like each day in this process of transitioning. And then when there's like a steady level of climate, then you know how to maintain yourself from that point. But some things that we have to consider, that if they're cold, dry, light qualities, which has a very sort of like elevating experience or lightening experience, you would want to create a sense of warmth and lubrication and moisturizing and grounding. So nature's producing fruits this time of year that are going to tell us what kind of foods we should be eating, more or less. We gauge those foods according to what our level of our hunger is, or appetite, and digestive metabolism is, and then we can eat seasonally that way. It's not just easy to eat seasonally, because if you have a compromised digestive system, then eating seasonally would actually cause more stress in your digestive system, and then later on in the season, you're more likely to get ill. So just be careful and be mindful of what your digestive metabolism looks like. If you have natural inclinations or cues for hunger, to not overeat. No matter what season it is, you really shouldn't overeat. And also knowing what time you're eating, because if you're eating later, then you should have a lighter meal, because digestive enzymes are reduced over the course of a day, especially in the evening time when the body's getting ready naturally to go to bed. Your body's not thinking, I want to fill up and eat a lot. So thinking about those things, because eventually those cause a domino effect in health and become stressful on the body, and liver has to work on things, and kidneys have to work on things, and just the whole filtration system, lymphatic system, all these things get backed up slowly with what we're doing now, what we're doing today. So what we do today will affect us tomorrow. As far as the heating component in the house, this generally will be a dry heating effect because of the heating systems and HVAC systems and radiators and base heaters and all the portable heaters, all these things that create heating in the house. And so it's important to still have a level of moisture in the house. And it's recommended to use a cool air humidifier, because science has shown that with warm air humidifiers, there's an increased chance of bacterial formation and mold and things like that, and cold air humidifier not so much. Then also, when you're implementing the usage of a cool air humidifier, make sure it's not in a room that's filled with room-to-room or wall-to-wall carpeting, especially in the bedroom. Wall-to-wall carpeting is really not ideal. As many people might think it's luxurious, it's actually, a sort of cesspool for accumulation of just bacteria and like dead skin cells and all these things that accumulate underneath the rugs that you don't see until you pull them up. And the fibers of the carpets, wall-to-wall, will sort of, sometimes it's used because of insulation purposes, but also there's a payoff to that. And so when you're adding a cool air humidifier or any kind of humidifier, the moisture that's released from the humidifier releases into the room, and then the carpet will sort of hold on to that moisture to some degree, and that's where like people can get sometimes ill because of spores and things like that, or increased colds because there's just an overgrowth of bacteria in the room on a subtle level, and the sinuses have to process this. So cool air humidifier. Next component is to consider using what Ayurveda uses very often of, for many people. It's herbalized oil called Nasya. And there's many different types of oils in these combinations for Nasya oils. Many companies produce them, so it's best to really find a practitioner to decide which one is the best one for you, because not all Nasyas are created equal. And that could be harmful, just assuming one nausea will be the best thing for you without knowing the subtle constituents of the oil and its application to your own physiology. But in general, applying a little bit of oil to the sinuses, something like this. I keep this handy, and this is just a bottle that I use, that I make my own formula now. And so you just put an herbalized oil in it, and then you put some drops on your fingers, you insert it into the nostrils, you sniff it up a little bit. This helps to lubricate things, especially first thing in the morning, and definitely before bed as you sleep, and as needed throughout the day. Drinking some hot water throughout the day, just plain hot water, maybe even with a squeeze of lemon or a squeeze of lime, will support metabolism. And first thing in the morning would be great too, where after you brush your teeth, you just have water, hot water to start the day with. It increases peristalsis, it increases lymphatic movement, stimulates digestion properly, will increase circulation, because when you have the digestive system running properly, then circulation is running properly. Every system in the body, the respiratory system, the cardio system, the immune system, neurological system, all depends on the nutrition that is processed by the metabolic system, the digestive system, what is actually broken down from mouth to rectum, and how it becomes a macromolecule converted into a micromolecule will determine the quality of the tissues, that determines the quality of the systems that are in place. Very important. In Ayurveda, we look at fundamentally what is the person's digestive system looking like. Are there any kind of symptoms? Or is it optimal? Is it compromised? All these things we're looking at to make sure that the digestive system is processing things properly, because without this system, then everything will just keep accumulating. And so that's not ideal. And then the body gets saturated and stressed, and then illnesses can be born from this kind of pathological formation. So these are some health tidbits. Also, in Ayurveda, what's important is to keep the neck protected, especially as the wind increases in the atmosphere, and the coolness with the air also is adding into the atmosphere, because the air at 67 to 70 degrees in June is different than the air in September and October. You can actually measure it for yourself, you can determine it for yourself, you can feel it for yourself, the difference in quality. And that aspect of the wind, coolness, dryness coming into the system, to the nervous system, will go into the nervous system and start to just accumulate. In Ayurveda, this would be called accumulation of vata, and in Chinese medicine, it's called accumulation of wind. I remember attending a class where a Qigong master was present and working with individual students, and he had one woman come up and sit there, and he examined her, did a pulse assessment, and determined that she had wind that inserted into two specific points, which are common in Ayurveda as well, into the back of the neck. And so he had to do a whole releasing process and unwinding it, releasing it from the body, which was amazing because you could actually watch the color of her face change. And so it's important to keep this area protected when you're going outside. So a light scarf or something, or a higher collar, or some sort of sweatshirt or something, just to make sure that the wind does not enter into those points, because starting that in the beginning of this part of the season will accumulate. It will be a domino effect on your health. So these are some tidbits and some considerations, and hope you find them useful. I'm also teaching a Ayurvedic cooking class on October 17th, Eastern Time, from 9 to 1. I also teach my weekly yoga classes on Tuesdays and Fridays at 8. I'm always open to working with new patients. I have a COVID special discount for patients coming in so that I can work with you to support you in gaining optimal health. And I love being of service. So feel free to message me, private message me, contact me. I'll provide the contact information below, the information for the yoga class, the information for the cooking class. And I look forward to seeing you all again next week. And hopefully I'll be back on schedule around 8:30. And have a great rest of your day. Always amazing and a pleasure and a delight for me to be here to support you guys. Have a great day.